And we welcome you back to Memorial Stadium. It's Vicksburg and Warren Central in the second district game for the Gators. Glad you can join us. There's so much history between these two teams. And Coach Lacey was just telling me he's been a part of this game as a player, as a coach for 13 years, going back to seventh grade. He's been a part of this game for 13 years as a player and coach at all levels, so he knows what this is all about. We'll talk about the big game coming up here. It's going to be a packed house here at Memorial Stadium, Vicksburg and Warren Central, and it's a huge game. I mean, you hate to say it, but time's kind of running out here a little bit as far as trying to make the top four. You don't have many district games, and so you want to leave this one 1-1 and put yourself in position where you got Columbus coming up and you got Ridgeland coming up, but you want to put yourself in position, and the Gators will try to do just that. Tough loss last week to Neshoba Central. So we'll put that behind us and get ready for Warren Central. Glad you can join us on this Friday night. Charles Edmond with Vicksburg High Coach Chris Lacey. Coach, we appreciate it once again. Boy, these losses are so tough, aren't they?
Yeah, they real tough. It's just finish. You know, I wish I could put that on a T-shirt. As in just finish and execute, but that's what it is. It's just we got to close them out. I think Friday, first half, we played us a first half, man, outside the interception and the first drive, which was just some miscommunication stuff. Just got to finish. That's all. I mean, we rushed the ball, I think, for like 200 and some yards, which is amazing. We've done it a lot this year, you know, putting the ball on the ground and doing a good job. We just got to do a better job of finishing and executing the game plan.
Yeah, and just you're right there. I mean, I'm just thinking as the game rolls around and how it's being played is like I'm kind of following your mindset, and it's like we make a couple good plays, and then we take 3 steps forward, then take a half step back. We take 2 more steps forward, then 2 steps back. The model of consistency. Trying to find that at this point in the season. That's, you know, probably 5 or 6 plays we make, we're in a lot better position.
Yeah, I mean, like I tell the kids all the time, you watch the film, I know they're playing hard. They're playing their butts off. You know, they actually trying to, you know, get that 100% effort to the game. But that at the end of the day, too, at the same time, we still have assignments and stuff that we have to execute, and we're not doing a good job of doing it right now. And that's my fault as a teacher. So I have to continue to find ways to teach it and find ways to get it executed.
We're 0-6 right now. Of course, fans of Vicksburg High are paying attention to this game. It's all on social media, the back and forth, the chatter. It always is. I'm learning just how entertaining, but how intense the chatter is back and forth between these two, between Vicksburg and Warren Central. But we're winless, trying to get a win. I know this is not what you expected, especially coming out of the Jamboree against Clinton. What would you like to tell Gator fans just to keep them enthused? It's tough. We're running out of games. We're running out of time. There's still opportunity. But what would you like to share with Gator fans in terms of just staying with it, stay with the process here as we go down the stretch?
Pack the stands tonight, support the kids, and on third downs, get up and make a lot of noise. I mean, you know, we got to add all elements to our game day atmosphere to be able to, you know, make this an imposing place to come play football. All that stuff is a part of it. I mean, when we go to places like the Yazoos of the world, they got up. You know, they people looking forward to beating Vicksburg. And in order for us to kind of get this thing to where it needs to be, it ain't just a Coach Lacey thing. It ain't just a Jermichael Maxey thing. It's a community thing, and we all have a part in, you know, that 11, that 12 to make this thing go the way that it needs to go. Kids are playing hard, they're practicing hard. They understand what's at stake tonight for the game, and I mean, I'm looking forward to them going out there and playing. It's a rivalry game. Ain't no records in no game like this. You know, I've been here when, you know, the only game Vicksburg won that year was the Warren Central game. So none of that matters when we're talking about people we eat in the same restaurant with and go to church with, and share businesses with and things of that nature. It's a rivalry game, and that's the type of game it's going to be tonight.
Yeah, it should be a lot of fun, and just trying to find a way to get a win in the books. I was thinking about the game last night, really thinking about all year how we've been able to run the football, and you came up with some different wrinkles in using Blackmore as well as Decory Knight in the Wildcat. Are we at a point now in which you have to kind of do that exclusively, or do you still feel like you have to sprinkle in some passes? And you talked about Maxey, how he was put in a tough spot to begin with. He wasn't anticipating being the starter, so he's kind of learning trial by fire. And it's been a tough situation. You use Clay at quarterback early in the season. So just talk about that here as we get into the heart of this district thing and trying to get a win, trying to figure out a way to get a win and keep our playoff hopes alive. It is almost exclusively running the football. Is that where you are? Do you still feel like with the quarterback position that you can push the ball down the field?
Oh yeah, I mean he can sling it. He's done it at times this year where he's made a few good passes here and there. And as me as a teacher, like it's just one of them things where I got to try to make the game slow down for him a little bit more. We run a legit kind of difficult offense when it comes to like the reads and stuff like that. So I got to kind of help him be molded along in what we do and kind of slow it down for him to be able to understand it a little bit better. But not just him, just everybody. I mean, again, sometimes a lot of this stuff, I'm telling you, watching that film, is just I missed a tackle, or I didn't get my head turned around the right way to break on the ball, or I just missed this block, or little things like that is what's killing us. I mean, running back to my side, you got the quarterback and I don't take him. Just small little intricate things like that, and that just come down to the discipline and again the execution. And my definition of discipline is never gonna change. It's gonna always be doing what you're supposed to do when you don't want to do it, regardless of what the situation is or the atmosphere. I have a job and I have to do that particular thing. And we got good kids. They know what they supposed to do. They learning, and it's just when them lights come on, I just need you to do that. And when we get to that point, and we are gonna get to that point, whether it's the last game of the year or the start of next year, regardless, these kids tonight, these kids they've been practicing hard. They're gonna do what they need to do.
I know tonight's another opportunity, and one of the things that I was thinking about, and you've done this all year, when things start immediately going south, you use your timeouts. And last week, you got to a point where you had to use your last timeout early in the fourth quarter and just couldn't get your hands on the football, didn't have timeouts. And I know it's tough to just kind of sit there on defense and watching the show, but milk the play clock down, and where there's nothing you could really do about it. You didn't have any timeouts to stop it. Is that something that you'll continue, or do you just get, you hear coaches say, I want to save a timeout in my pocket just in case, but you use 2 timeouts on defense. Right. And if I'm not mistaken, the vast majority of the timeouts you've used all year, for the most part, have been on the defensive side. How frustrating is that, and do you look to try to find a way here to at least keep one timeout in your pocket in these close games, because most of them have been?
Yeah, I mean, I'm holding them. Like, I got them, and I'm just like, dang, I don't want to use them, but that's what they're there for, to take a time out to figure out what it is that we need to do to make an adjustment or talk to a player or get somebody lined up the right way, and I'm going to use them. They give us 6, I'm going to use 6. So, I always told myself I never want to be the coach that goes into the end of a game and I got 6 timeouts sitting in my back pocket when I could have used them to, get a kid a water break or just anything. That's what they're there for. So I'm going to use them. And yeah, I mean, just probably be a little more strategic with how we're using them. But if I feel like it's a situation where I need to burn a timeout and make an adjustment with a kid, then I will. I mean, I got a young defense coordinator who's growing up on me in front of me. I got a young defense who's growing up in front of me. So it's my job to help bring everybody along to be able to, finish these games the way we need to. And if that's, again, taking the time out, then I'm most definitely going to do it.
Hey, what's the frustrating part about that when you get in the huddle, the timeouts that you take on defense, are they just not knowing the alignments and the assignments, just stuff that you talk about all week, and then it just kind of freezes up on them in game time? Is that kind of?
Yeah, it's just little things like I mean, if you've never been on a football field to be under them lights and just see what it is, it's a thing where you got to get acclimated to it. And for some, it might take one game. For some, it might take 2 years. For some, it might not ever click. But it just depends on who we dealing with. And a lot of that stuff is just built into preparation. You know, you got to come out there and practice like you in the game to be ready for the game. It's with anything else, you know. My first time cooking eggs, I burned my grandma's kitchen up, you know. But once I learned how to do it, you know, I ended up becoming a chef at it. So it's the same thing. I mean, that skillet hot, and you don't know how hot it is until you stick your hand up there and feel it. So that's the same way when it comes to football, where, you know, kids just have to get acclimated. But you also have to be acceptable to being acclimated to be able to, you know, go out there and adjust to play the game the way you're supposed to play it.
Well, let's take a look at Warren Central, Coach. I mean, this team, they played last Thursday, so they had an extra day to get ready. They beat Ridgeland. So when you look at Josh Morgan's ball club, what are you seeing? A team that's 3-3 on the year.
Well, number one, in the past I've made mistakes of trying to, I guess, get away from the fact that I graduated from Warren Central, you know. And, I mean, it is what it is. It's realistic. I went to school there. I graduated there. Them same coaches taught me ball. But, you know, that's a good thing for us because I understand what's going on. I understand who my opponent is. I understand everything about them. You know, I know what a bathroom is in the building. You know what I'm saying? So I understand everything about them. And they have a really good team. You know what I'm saying? I understand what is being coached, how it's being coached, and what's being taught. So, I mean, that makes me a threat too, you know? So I have to use that to put it into my players' minds on how we going to effectively go out there and win this football game.
Well, it starts with the quarterback position, and Josh Morgan's son, Nash Morgan, he's kind of talked about all offseason. He's handed the keys to the offense. What do you see in Nash Morgan, and what troubles you about him?
He can run. You know, he can run with his feet. He's big, like tall kid, strong. You can tell he understands what offense they're running, and he executes it well. He tries not to put them in mistakes, so he's good at throwing the ball out of bounds, escaping with his feet, and just taking off running and things of that nature. He got a couple passes that he can throw that are his go-to passes, and it's going to be a challenge and kind of fun trying to, you know, coach my DBs to be able to defend that. You know, we got to get hats on him and put pressure on him, try to get him to make some mistakes when they do allow him to throw the football. So he's, I mean, a real good player. I mean, when your dad's the coach and your uncle's the offensive coordinator, you know, you ain't got no choice but to be, you know, real good at football.
What is it about Coach Morgan's system, especially on the defensive side? I mean, we always follow the scores. It just seems like their games come down to the final minute. It's wacky, it's wild, it's back and forth. It comes down to the final minute, the final seconds, the final play. What is about his system, especially defensively? Because I understand that's where that most of the time they hang their hat on.
Well, I mean, I can't speak for people who played at Vicksburg High School before me, but you know, my defense mimics that defense a little bit. One, because that's the defense I played up under. So it's kind of like the same, you know, intricate ways where it's all built on running to the football, being disciplined, trying not to give up any mistakes. I wouldn't call it a bend-o break defense, but I would call it one of them break don't bend defenses. You know, and you kind of get in there. You want to put hats on people. You want to intimidate people with your pass rush. I know they don't blitz a lot. We don't really blitz a lot. So you feel like you got 4 up there, 3 up there, they can get to the quarterback. That's what you're going to do. So that defense built on discipline, being a brotherhood, running to the football, and just tackling people.
What about this rivalry, Coach? Your perspective. You know, I'm not from Vicksburg. I'm not a Vicksburger, but I'm learning more and more about this rivalry each and every year, red carpet, all of that stuff. What is it about this rivalry? You got 2 schools a few minutes apart. You know, they grew, as you mentioned, Ernest Boker in the paper, and you've talked about it. These kids grew up with each other. They know each other, and it's kind of a different dynamic.
It's like I say, it's house wars. You know, it's families. It's, you know, you got one family that went to Warren Central, you got one family that went to Vicksburg. Them same families still got kids on these teams. You know, it's what we talking about at church after church over with. You know, it's what we talking about in Cracker Barrel. You know, it's the Vicksburg Warren Central game. We don't have NFL teams in Mississippi. So some of these towns like this one, this is it. This is the Super Bowl. This is important. And we got to treat it like that. It's important to a lot of people. You know, this game will change somebody's day come Saturday morning, good or bad. and it's bragging rights. You take pride in being able 20 years from now to tell somebody I beat you in the Vicksburg Warren Central game. So it's political, it's social, it's everything. It's the Warren Central Vicksburg game, and it's hard nosed, and it's gonna come down to who wanted the most and who's the most physical and who want to beat up on somebody. So that's the kind of mindset we're going into it with.
This is one of those games you probably don't have to coach up that much. You don't have to give the pep speech.
Right, we know each other. We just watch each other play 9th grade, 8th grade, 7th grade games. So same stuff they doing at the middle school is the same stuff we doing at the high school. So we just seen it all week. We watch each other in the paper. You go back, look at it. It's right there. I mean, it ain't we know what each other bring to the table. And again, it's gonna come down to them lines of scrimmage. It's gonna come down to who mess up the most, and that's the type of game it's gonna be.
The last 3 meetings, it came down to the final minute, Coach. So you've been right there.
Yeah, but hey, look, and like I tell the kids, good ain't good enough. I don't want you to have no pat on the back in the Vicksburg Warren Central game because they beat you by 1. You know what I'm saying? When I first got here, I told the kids straight up, even when I was a defensive coordinator, I said, you can't go into this game with a Mike Tyson mentality. You lose it so much or you get so close, and then you see Mike walking down to the ring and he beat you before you get there. We can't have that type of mindset going into this game. We got to go into the game saying we got the hammer in our book bag, and just trying to get that mindset into the kids or the fans or the city or whoever. That's what we have to do to go win the game. We have to go into the game saying we're the better team and we got to play like it.
Vicksburg and Warren Central coming up in just a matter of moments. Coach, let's go get them. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
We'll take this time out. When we come back, we'll have a play-by-play story here from Memorial Stadium, James E. Sturgis Field. Vicksburg and Warren Central, another chapter of this great rivalry coming up after this timeout.